Hey guys, Colton here from the Eevee Kingdom, and welcome to What If Neo Joined Team Ranger. As I'd seen on the poll recently, a majority of you wanted this what if. And honestly, this is way more than in the last time I actually posted a poll for what ifs there. And and to be honest, I also wanted to do this what if for a while. It's one of more though. It's one of the more or close to canon as possible, but also a more likely change. Now, I have thought this through and at least got to volume 9. I know my thought process. I'll be going through it a little bit more to iron out certain ideas. But I think this story is going to be pretty interesting. And the only change I'm going to do is have Neo go after RWBY first. As we already seen in the canon, and Neo took a while to actually find out where Team RWBY were, where they were. But in the process, she met Cinder after losing to them, so we already know how that story went. And also, I'm gonna mention this now because I probably should have a lot sooner, but the thumbnail of this video is a comic. I know this. I realized that was a short comic when I picked it. Heck, I still have the other part here. I just couldn't find anything better for this what if that wasn't just Neo and Jaune together. Now, am I saying they're not gonna get together? Not really. I could definitely see them getting together, but not right away. Hey, and honestly, I didn't want to just have a shipping thumbnail for this, so I thought this would be sweet to put here. And I do not own it. Ownership of the thumbnail goes to its proper owner. Anyways, I'm starting the what if because I probably spent too much time rambling, and I need to quit doing that, as I mentioned in the video I pre-recorded with this. We start this part off on, honestly, the end of Volume 3. Team Ranger just formed and were on their way to where Cinder was supposedly a student at, to get more information. Now, the change here is Neo, honestly, he found them a lot faster. She could have possibly found on RWBY on the way there, through a bullet head, and basically what I'm trying to say is she either found RWBY getting on a bullet head and after the fall, and just followed them, or she was just a lot closer than in canon. Anyways, she decides to follow them for a while, making sure no one spots her. One night, Neo ends up trying to take RWBY out in her sleep, only to hear Jaune swinging his sword late at night. In Neo's mind, she started thinking taking him out to make RWBY feel her pain. So she starts heading over to try taking Jaune out, only for Jaune to possibly hear a footstep, or just was more aware of his surroundings than, and honestly, we gave credit for. Or Neo got distracted by seeing Jaune watching a video that was meant for him. Either way, Jaune notices Neo in a panic, turned into RWBY to hopefully not get caught. And Jaune just starts talking. Neo can't talk, obviously, so she's just nodding her head and pretending that she's just groggy from waking up so early. And this is honestly where I think the moment would happen. And Neo would still try stabbing Jaune in the back, but then Jaune would just start talking about Pyrrha, noticing her notice the video. And he just, talks about how much he misses her, and that if he could see her now, or at least talk to her one more time, he may have even talked about what happened between them. Now, Neo was half listening, but she also realizes that her and him kind of had the same thing happen. And they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and doing their thing, and someone took the person they cared about away from them. And over this time, Neo started listening more and more, or as her nods started becoming more frequent, as he listened to every single word he was saying. Now, RWBY would honestly wake up from her nightmare, as we see in Volume 4. Or, I'm pretty sure this is a common occurrence. Sorry if you're hearing some rumbling in the background. Honestly, I don't know why. Anyways. RWBY would wake up, Jaune would hear it, and Neo, in a panic, would honestly just peace out. Now, and Jaune is a little more suspicious now. I had to make sure I said that right. Because he would see RWBY just wake up. Now, a few nights would pass with Neo just watching them from the sidelines. Kind of like what Crow did in canon. But one of these nights, Jaune would at least notice something, have a off feeling, and call out to the wilderness where Neo would probably be hiding. With her honestly showing up, Jaune, understandably, more in a fight or flight response, knowing Neo, Neo, probably hearing stories from Yang and RWBY, would be on the defensive, but Neo would communicate through her scroll. I would say sign language, but I don't think Jaune knows that. That she's just there and wants to talk. Jaune lets it happen, and like Neo when Jaune was talking, Jaune started realizing the same thing. I think they both lost someone important that day. And they just, honestly, at this point, spend the rest of the night talking. Or, as much talking as a mute person can do. And after this, they just keep this routine up, night after night. Jaune gets some training in, and then he and Neo just talk. Now, I'm just gonna explain this for the people who don't understand what I'm going with this. Neo and Jaune both lost someone very important to them, and both hate Cinder because of the fall that led to them losing their special someone. I don't know how Neo and Roman's relationship was. I did hear a guy review the book. I still don't know. Anyways, yeah. They both just feel a bond for that. Those who suffer from similar or traumatic experiences are more inclined to open up to each other about how they feel about it. So basically, this what if is happening through a bond forged made from trauma, and them finally having someone they can relate to. Yeah, John knows his team still lost a team member, but to be fair, their relationship with Pyrrha was a lot different from John's, especially due to what happened in Volume 3 with the guy. So yeah, him and Neo have a way more, they understand it a lot better. Neo understands him a lot better than his team, and due to having a similar relationship with Roman. And yeah, they just talk, and over time they can go from how they feel to just fun stories. Heck, I could even see Neo chuckling when John mentions that he wore a dress. That's because no one asked Pyrrha out. To be fair, that was still funny. The best moment in Volume 2. Yeah. But yeah. It's within this time RWBY would wake up and go check on John because he's technically talking to himself. To her knowledge. Sees Neo. I don't know why I said Neo that way. And basically he gets in a fighting stance because of it. John is honestly trying to be intermediate with both of them. Ren and Nora wake up, and basically John has to explain that Neo's not after their heads. And honestly, that's a long conversation. But after a while of John trying to convince everyone not to fight, they at least let Neo join them until they have reason enough to basically not trust her. So this is why I mostly went through why there might be a time skip between the volumes 3 and 4, because over this time period a lot of relationship building would happen. And I'm gonna start from the least built bond to the greatest bond unbuilt. So Neo and Nora, honestly, I think it's a similar case to Ren and Nora, but without the lovers' quarrel in between. Nora's outgoing, Neo's also outgoing, but she doesn't talk much. That's honestly a weird relationship that those two would have. Neo and Ren would probably bond over not really talking much, and Ren being the more serious of the group. But again, not very well built. Now, the two more important ones, Neo and RWBY, and Neo and John. Neo still hates RWBY. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. She still blames RWBY for what happened to Roman. I'm pretty sure John would try to justify, not justify, but explain to Neo that RWBY didn't plan for the Grimm. Which she does somewhat realize, but also still hates RWBY, so I believe while they're on their way to the school, Neo, and any fights they would get in between, Neo would kind of not purposely and purposely leave RWBY in situations where she could die. Alright, and also mess with her a lot. Over time, I do believe Neo and RWBY would kind of have a relationship similar to Vegeta and Tien Shinhan in the abridged Dragon Ball series. Basically, Neo pokes Ruby. Ruby starts poking jabs at Neo over time, and they have this frenemy vibe going on. They don't like each other, but they can at least agree on a few things. Sorry if my voice is a little bit stuffy. Yeah, I have no explanation for that, sorry. Anyways, now we only have Neo and Jaune, whose relationship would honestly just keep improving. They both have, well, not a lot in common, but they can at least get along well, and over time they genuinely get closer. And due to their shared hatred for Cinder, they've also been training a lot together, which inadvertently leads to Neo also training with Ren, Nora, and eventually RWBY, because as a lot of time would happen and they would gain their frenemy relationship. And I also think Neo doesn't want, after a while Neo thought, yeah, I'd rather be the one to end RWBY, so I'm gonna make sure she doesn't die to anything except if it's for me. So eventually Neo trains with all of them, and I think their combat experience would get a lot better. Neo is pretty much the only one who's never been hit by any member of Team RWBY at all. Unless it was a sneak attack. But other than that, they never really beat Neo. Oh, at all. So yeah, and an expert fighter training them, their fighting capabilities will improve a lot. And I also think Neo and Jaune would also have certain strategies for if they ever see Cinder again. Now, being able to talk it over and get a lot of that frustration out on clones, Neo would make ink that look like Ink Cinder, and would help a lot. But over time, yeah, they'd basically start becoming a team, and wow, I'm already over what I planned for this. There's a lot I can go over, but I'm gonna save it for the next part. I just wanted to make sure this part gets out, and I properly explain Neo's relationship to the team. Now, this is gonna be a shorter series due to where I'm starting in the story. So yeah. Anything else, Brian? Like the video if you want to see more, or share with others to spread the word. Or comment what you like about this what if, or how you wouldn't have this what if happen, and if you're writing in this story. And subscribe so you don't miss the next part when I start working on it. I really need to get better plans when I start these recordings. I was so better before. I'm getting rusty. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.